Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Retro Bliss Rewind podcast. Whether you're watching from the Retro Bliss Gaming channel or from my channel, Mike's Gaming Gala, welcome. Unfortunately, yes, I am not Retro Bliss. Phil's mother is not doing well, and so he's spending time with her. As in addition to everything that he's dealing with for himself. So we wish him the best, but we've got this one. We've got a great topic today. We're talking about Valve's new announcements. I believe it happened a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. There's a new Steam machine coming. There's VR stuff, new controller, lots of new things. But obviously, as console-specific channels, we'll be talking about not only what this announcement is and what the products are, but how it might affect console gaming. Of course, we've got BD Retro Mods here. And he's the one in our Discord, Brian. You were like, look at this, and you posted the announcement. That's how I found out about it. We will be joined probably within the next 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes maybe, by Keo Daikin. He's a big tech guy. We've had him on a few times, and he's going to have some interesting thoughts on this as well. But Brian, since you were Captain Excited, why don't you tell us what Valve has announced?
Yeah. So there's three things. I mean, I think let's probably go with the biggest one first, and we'll work our way down. There's just the first one, obviously is the Steam machine. So the Steam machine is ultimately a mini computer that's going to run Steam OS, and it's the form factor is literally almost like a GameCube, which
has like panels that you can swap in the front to customize, which is a very Xbox did that with their controllers. It's like everybody had a different controller.
Oh yeah, and I can really see third-party companies really taking advantage of that. Making their own plates for it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the form factor of it makes it very easy to have it like in a living room, hooked up to your television. Instead of maybe, I'm not saying you have to, because like my own gaming PC is not, but instead of being maybe in a separate room with a computer desk, with a computer chair, gaming monitor, all that, you could just literally have this box next to your television very easily and discreetly, and be able to play all your Steam games that are compatible with Steam OS. Because obviously there's some games that are on Steam that may not fully work with the Linux architecture that they're using with it. So.
Yeah, and I think the Steam machine is the thing that people are talking about the most. Obviously, there's a VR and the controller.
Yep.
I think the controller looks like garbage. I wouldn't want to play with that, but you don't have to play with that controller. You can hook up your Xbox controller, your PlayStation controller, probably even your Switch Pro controllers or whatever. But it really is something that is meant to be used, I'm guessing, more like a console. Like you said, you hook it up to your TV, you use it pretty much exclusively for gaming. Although you could use it as a PC. That was in their ad as well. You could just
correct
like a regular computer.
Yeah, because you can dual boot a different OS with it. Because obviously with Steam OS, the whole concept behind it is to just be able to just quickly access your game. So that's one of the things that had people hooked on consoles, right? That when you think about PC gaming way back, when we had the consoles, like not counting the little 8-bit computer era, but when it actually got into like your having Windows computers and stuff like that, like how the process of games went, trying to get them loaded on the computer and making sure you had all the spec requirements, where instead I can just take my Super Nintendo cartridge and just plug it in and play. The idea with the Steam OS is the same concept, that for someone who doesn't like tinkering, that you can just turn on the game and play. You know, that is literally the idea behind it.
Yeah, and my big thing, like I've been a PC gamer at times. I still play PC games sometimes. But I've primarily been a console gamer. And it is because of that simplicity. And the fact of the matter is, you know, modern consoles, and I know like Kia was in the green room before, and we agree on this. Modern consoles aren't really consoles. They are PCs that have proprietary software. Every time I turn my PS5 on, there's an update. Every time I turn my Xbox on, there's an update. Even the Switch isn't quite as bad, but there are often updates. And it's like console gaming isn't console gaming anymore.
Well,
And
and
so
it's not, yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and so a person like me is starting to think, why do I bother with a console when I can have access to the largest game library on the planet through Steam, and do that? But then, and so for me, the Steam machine has the potential to be a console killer, but the price is where I think a lot of people are going to get snagged on, because we have this mentality. And make no mistake, you know, PlayStation's next system is going to be $700-800. I can almost guarantee you PlayStation's next system is going to be stupid expensive.
Oh no, both Xbox and PlayStation are going to be. Well, Xbox keeps getting hit with tariffs, at least here in the United States. I mean, what it costs for a Series X now is ridiculous. So,
and honestly, I think that the Xbox Series X is the last Xbox system we'll probably see.
Well, they said they're going to make another one, but they've already said that the next generation Xbox is ultimately going to be like a Steam machine, because you're going to be able to have Steam on it. You're going to be able to have other things on it. So again, it comes back to that exact discussion that already becomes a PC, and or a gaming PC at that point. Same with the PlayStation. Like a PS5 Pro is like $750 right now, and without a doubt, like that was already testing the waters, because and I'm sure many folks already know, is that consoles in the past used to do what they call the razor blade theory. So ultimately they would sell you the console at a loss. Nintendo's the only exception to that rule. Nintendo has always made sure they made a profit on it, but for every other console out there, they would take it at a loss, because the licensing fees to put the games on the console is where they would make up for it. So that's the reason why you would have like an Xbox Series X priced the way it was, or a PS5 priced the way it was, because they subsidized it knowing that they could get the revenue back from game licenses. Valve has said they're not going to do that. Looking at some other videos out there that actually got to talk with folks at Valve, that they did it because they did not want to upset their partners. So again, that's where I think this goes into the long game, because again, Steam OS isn't just tied to this machine. I mean, it could end up, you can have other companies like Lenovo or Asus or whoever start to make their own Steam machines that are different level specs and everything else. And obviously they don't want to upset those other partners that they're already actually doing that with some handhelds. So with the Steam Deck. So, I mean, price is going to be a thing, but but again, you're not going to, I really doubt you're going to see a $500 machine. I don't. I mean, that's just me speculating. And again, Keo can talk about more with the specs, but I mean, again, this would kind of land into what you kind of call a mid-grade PC. But the other thing though is that they're doing things with software though to actually make it run better. So even though, like, when you think about a Windows PC, okay, that's mid-spec, this is probably how things are going to run. That's not necessarily going to be the case. Now, obviously, we haven't been able to use it ourselves. We don't know for sure. But if you look at the Steam Deck, it's the same concept. The Steam Deck, again, had lower specs, but was able to run a lot more games a lot better than you thought it would, because of the architecture of the OS behind the scenes. So
Keo, what are your thoughts on all this? Because I know you've got plenty.
What is going on, everyone? Brian, nice to see you again, man.
yeah, good to see you.
Right. So I think it's kind of following along the lines of what was implemented back in the early 2000s and late 90s. If you guys happen to remember, there was a little bit of a transition period between PC gaming and console gaming. And I was a victim of that. And just to give you guys a little bit of a history, so back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a mass migration from console gaming to PC. I was one of those guys. Took me a while to figure out how I'm going to play the best of my capability on a PC using mouse and keyboard. I got rid of the standard controller altogether. PCs had internet capability. At that time, you had a 56K modem. The popular games at that time were Half-Life and Counter-Strike. And then, of course, you had Doom and Quake, but ultimately at that time, it was Counter-Strike. This was the time of internet, cyber cafes. This was the first time I started gaming for like 2 to 3 days straight, no sleep. You had what's the name of the popular game that everyone plays? That's not Dungeons and Dragons, the other one, World of Warcraft.
No, World of Warcraft, yeah.
Yeah, it was World of Warcraft. You had people dying in some of these cyber cafes over in China and Japan because they would not go to sleep. They would play for weeks on end. So consoles couldn't match that. The other frustrating part was that, and I think the transition kind of happened around Xbox 360. So around people migrating over to PC, because you could play anybody, anytime, anywhere. You had better graphics, you had better games. And so the question was, well, if they come out with a new console, just what are they going to do? I mean, consoles don't have internet capability. At least it didn't, obviously, at that time. So then you had the Xbox 360. Now, my methodology and the way I saw the Xbox 360 when it came out was that people were tired of, if you wanted to be a good gamer, preferably on PC, you had to have money. You had to have the latest graphics card, the latest chip. If you didn't know how to build a computer, you just weren't going to compete. That's where it was.
Yeah, so and then Xbox Live even the playing field.
Exactly. And even the playing field, because now everybody has a centralized system, centralized box, same specs, same hardware, same graphics card. You don't have to be a computer technician or anything to understand it.
Random red rings.
Yep, random red rings. And so that's where you had that migration from from PC kind of back to a little bit about console. Now, as you all know, as I was talking to Mike earlier, we haven't seen a traditional console since PlayStation 2 and maybe GameCube. I think those were the last one. Even the original Xbox, I don't remember the processor it had, but it had a standard hard drive in there. It was basically Microsoft's version of a PC for gaming. That's essentially what it was. You can hack it, mod it, do whatever you want to. It wasn't a traditional console. And so now all the units that we see now, they're not really, as Mike was saying earlier, they're not consoles. They are PCs. If you have RAM, AMD graphics cards, and NVIDIA M.2s and SSD drives and any other PC components that you have, those are not consoles. These are PCs garnered to this. And so that's kind of where we are now, is that they have the Steam machine, a centralized hub where you can play your games, kind of even the playing field in terms of costs. Obviously we'll see where that lies, but we haven't seen traditional consoles. So I don't know why people would have thought that would have been priced at that. I mean, RAM is out the sky now, out the door with the prices, but yeah, so that's a little bit of the history lesson about how we kind of got from consoles to PC and to where we are now. But I think it's an impressive machine in terms of the specs. The hard drive offers 512 gigabytes. They have 2 models for SSD, which is absolutely nothing.
Which is laughable in 2025.
Yeah, that was laughable when the Xbox One came out. And
yes.
Yeah. I mean, because when you have Battlefield and other games that coming in at 45 gigabyte download, what are you going to do with 512? So a 2 terabyte, that's still nothing. Honestly, I think it would have been equitable to have a 4 terabyte. I upgraded my Xbox ROG Ally to a 4 terabyte, downloaded not even all my games, but a lot of them. I mean, file sizes are huge. And so you need at least a good 4 terabyte SSD. 16 gigabytes of RAM, obviously that's more than enough for what they're going to use it for. a 2.45 gigahertz clock speed using an AMD RDNA. And then, of course, it has an AMD CPU. Now, the GPU is kind of the equivalent to the 5090 series on the NVIDIA side. So, I mean, it's good for what it is, but I think the price would be okay if this is their 10-year device. Like 10 to 15 years, we're not coming out with nothing else for another 10 to 15 years. Let's just optimize every game that I think they possibly can and just roll with it that way. So,
I don't know. I don't know if it'll make it 10 years, but
I would say like consoles nowadays, the traditional, like a lot of people were thrown off by the 360 and the PS3 because that was a massively long generation. Traditionally, consoles last about 5 years, and I think that's what I would expect from a gaming PC like this, like the Steam machine, is like, give me 5 years.
I don't think you're going to have a problem getting 5 years. I mean, I think you might even get 7. I mean, it all comes down to how fast you want to upgrade it. What specs do you want for the latest games that you're playing? But like for a lot of folks, they don't need that ultra settings to be able to play the stuff. Like you can be on high settings and it's going to still look really good, for what you might want to play. And, and I guess my thing with this is that, again, who's the Steam machine for? And I think it can be for multiple things, right? Because I think for someone who might have been afraid of a gaming PC because they might have had, back 20 years ago when I tried to do it, it was a nightmare, and the thing is, like,
and that's about when I was doing it. I fall into that market.
Right.
I remember buying all the individual components and sitting with my friends and we'd build the PC and do all that and then of course trying to optimize things and all the stuff that Keo does for fun terrified me back then because like I just want to play my games, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of fantastic games on PC even back then. Like I remember GTA 3. I was like, I wanted a PC to play GTA 3.
And like I said, like I've said in a previous episode, like Steam has made it so easy to play pretty much PC games now. I mean, the interface, even without the Steam machine, just playing it on like a Windows machine, I mean, it's been greatly improved to where it's not, I'm not going to say it's dummy proof, but for most people, it'll be a much smoother experience. You can use your existing Xbox or PlayStation controllers with it. I mean, you got what you need.
So I don't have to use that stupid thing with the big.
You do not have to use their controller. You can use any PC controller. But again, the big thing that helps gravitate to it, including myself, is the fact that I can still use my Xbox controllers on it. Because again, I like my Xbox controllers, and
I'm the same.
And so I mean that's your initial audience, but I think also for folks that might want just a spare machine to have in a different room to play something when friends are over, instead of my big gaming computer that I have, like I said, in my little gaming room with my computer chair, computer desks, and so
I would make the argument that if you've got a big gaming computer in your little gaming room, you probably don't have a lot of friends over. You probably play a lot online with your friends.
Well, but I think depending on the price point, some people might see it as, oh, this could be a good spare to have somewhere else to play stuff for whatever reason. But
off grid in the chat confirming that he's really really old and odd. And Mr. Postal says he'll order one from BJ Retro Remotes.
Oh jeez.
I think the so go ahead.
Oh no. I just go ahead and say what you're going to say, and then I'll put my next piece into it. So
yeah, I think the Steam machine has several different things weighing against it. Myself right now, I'm all about play anywhere. If I buy a game, I want to play it in many places as possible, so that way I get my money's worth out of it. So that goes heavily into my buying decisions nowadays. So when I have the opportunity, I check Steam first. Like, hey, is this going to be a Steam exclusive? I check Xbox. Is it Xbox, play anywhere? Chances are I'll get it on Xbox versus Steam. because I can play it anywhere, Raspberry Pi, other single board computers, mini PCs, play it in a browser, play it anywhere. Steam really doesn't have that. Well, it kind of does, but not as well as Xbox has it in terms of remote play. You have to be centralized to actually play it on a dedicated device. You have TVs. We were talking about playing it in different rooms. You can play Xbox in any room of your house on a smart TV that has, the apps built in. So you have that. Lower power consumption is better on your electric bill. It's not going to pull the power like the Steam machine will. And then another thing is will PlayStation and Microsoft continue to release games on their front end with them creating their own console to be a direct competitor? And more or less, particularly Sony.
And I would go on there because actually I just saw the article. I wish I had it up that Sony made a ridiculous amount of money off of Steam in this last quarter. We're talking like billions of profit. Right. I mean, they're not. At the end of the day, if the money's there, they're going to put it there. And and that's where it comes back to my thing. Like I've said in some previous podcasts, is that I've always been a console gamer. I've always preferred doing console. I did dabble in PC gaming because of World of Warcraft and other things, but for the most part, I've always been.
And first-person shooters were meant for the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, that I've always.
Every true gamer knows that.
Yeah, all right. It's just, but tried and true, it was always console for me. But again, as we kind of said, last year I decided to get a gaming PC. Because again, Black Friday, it was cheaper to buy one than it was for me to try to build one. So, which that's not how it used to be. How it used to be back when I did make one was it was a lot cheaper to make it than to buy it already pre-made. But the reason for that is, and this is why I find Steam to be very attractive, is that if I'm going to be forced to go digital, I want to be in an ecosphere where I don't have to be afraid that I'm going to lose my purchases. And for Steam, it's been there.
A good track record.
They got an extremely good track record. Let's look at Nintendo. Look at how fast Nintendo cuts their stores. And the fact that Switch 2 games now, if it's not a first-party title or all game key cards, you're not actually having the game on that cartridge. It's just literally giving permission to download it from the online store. Right. So when that online store goes away, and probably, and again, I can't see into the future, I'm just going to throw it out there. In maybe 10 years, all those game key cards are going to go kaput. They're going to be just paperweights unless someone finds some way to make a black market store and they could somehow, you jailbreak your Switch to do it.
And that's a big reason why people like me who are console gamers are like, okay, if everything's going to go digital, why do I bother with a console?
Correct.
With maybe the exception of like a Nintendo who has a catalog of IPs that are still very, very profitable for them. I can't think there's, PlayStation had Uncharted series and The Last of Us, and Xbox had like Gears of War and Halo. But I can't think of nowadays, and maybe it's just because I don't play them much, of like a big mass appeal exclusive system for any exclusive game for either Xbox or Sony.
Well, and there's not, because Nintendo, again, you got your Nintendo first party titles. So like we said before, do I have a Switch 2? Yes, I have a Switch 2. But one thing I have told myself and I've stuck with, I'm only buying the first party Nintendo games for it. The minute I see game key card, I want nothing to do with it. I'd rather just buy it on Steam. Go ahead.
Yeah, they are a reliable marketplace. How long have you guys actually gamed on Steam? Have you guys been around with?
I've been regularly now for about a year. I said prior, like I said, I was into PC gaming back during, like you said, like Quake Arena and Unreal Tournament and World of Warcraft. But then after I got out of World of Warcraft, I kind of ended the gaming PC stuff and went back to, playing on console. And I stuck with console, like I said, until a year ago, which then I'm like, you know what? I don't want my investments to go away. Like, because even with the current Xbox and the current PlayStation, I mean, the stuff isn't fully on the disc. Like,
right.
Xbox stuff says digital delivery. So great. I pop in the disc, and now I have now I got now I got an 80 gig download to wait for, so which means, again, when they close those stores, and they're going to do it, they haven't been as fast as Nintendo, but they're going to do it. And when that happens, you're going to lose your purchases. It's not like me owning my regular Nintendo cartridge, and I can still grab it today and play it when I want to play it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say Microsoft is pretty reliable as well. In fact, I remember back in 2006, 2007, I had a PDA phone. You could play games and stuff on it. So that game today is still available for me to play on their marketplace.
Wow.
But Steam has a very interesting story. In fact, as I mentioned in the chat earlier, I used to play with some of the devs with like Gearbox Software and Valve devs. And I actually beta tested Steam when it first came out. They had a few of us who are known around the Half-Life community actually go on and test it. And so back in the day, when a game had an actual update, we all had to wait in line on a website called File Planet. And it didn't automatically update like most of these systems nowadays. You would have to come home, find out what update you needed, wait in line behind a bunch of other people. This is still when DSL 56K modems were still around. DSL download speeds were about 1 megabyte, and cable was maximum at about 3 megabyte download speed. So you had like people just waiting all night to get a specific file just so they could play a new updated copy of the game. And so Steam came out, and so now things update in the background. It organizes all the files for you. It keeps everything very simple. But they do have a good longevity in terms of their marketplace. They've been around for a long time. So, yeah, they are reliable in that regard.
Can I just respond to this comment here? Molly Bed One says, our motto at Steam is you will own nothing and be happy. And while I agree that any kind of digital download is a rental for as long as they decide to leave it up, I would make the argument that it is no different with Sony. It is no different with Xbox. It is no different with Nintendo.
Yeah, it's no different. I mean, anything that's digital, that's how it is. I mean, and again, I prefer physical content. I would rather have, a physical game. But the reality is, just like other media, it's just digital has become the way. Like it or not, it's become the way. And with anything digital, you don't fully own it. You are ultimately licensing it to be able to play for as long as you're alive. You know what I mean? Or the stores,
or as long as the
store,
as long as it's available to play.
Right.
I mean, I suppose the argument there too would be, at least with the Steam machine, if in a magical world Steam explodes, it goes away, and all the games that have ever been on Steam go away with it, at least you still have a mid-range PC. Like if that happened with the PlayStation, that is the big massive white paperweight.
Well, I mean, it's just like the Wii and Wii. I mean, again, obviously, if you have the physical games, you can still play games on your Wii or Wii U. But anything you purchase digitally, it's gone. Like, I mean, let me rephrase that. If you still have it downloaded on your machine, you can play it. But you
it's
can't
alive
go back.
As long as the hard drive on your system is alive.
Yes. So, but that's it's like. If you're going to force me down the digital rabbit hole, then I want to keep my stuff in a platform that is the most universal and is the most likely to be around for as long as I want it to be around.
And OG Hugo makes a good point here that Valve has said that if anything ever happened, they would make their games DRM free. I am not going to hold my breath for that. Like it's, I'm never going to take that as a guarantee. I'm always going to view a digital download as
correct.
I have it at the whim of the provider.
Right.
Well, I think that's also something important too. Steam does not own all these games or Valve.
Right.
Yeah.
Valve. So it's the companies that made these games that actually own it, and I think that would be their decision. Do you guys happen to know how many games that Valve has actually made?
It's not a bunch. It's not many at all in the grand
Right.
scheme of things. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact number, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, like outside of Counter-Strike or Half-Life, something like that. Like how many games does Valve actually have actually produced?
I don't know of any other than this ones that you said, honestly. So.
Yeah, besides Team Deathmatch and the Orange Box and all the other good stuff. Yeah, like what have they really made? So, because everything else is still owned by the individual publishers that's on their system.
Now, again, unless there's a clause in the Steam agreements with them saying, like, in the event, I don't know. You know, I mean, I didn't.
Right.
I haven't. I mean, I don't know what the developer rules are with Steam, but
this one.
Oh,
sorry, this comment here is a really. It's going to be a fun one to respond to. Let me read the whole thing, and then I've got an opinion here. Molly Bed One says, "Does a Steam machine have a physical media drive?" The answer is no. If not, it will be dead on arrival. Sony tried a digital-only PSP decades ago, and it flopped. Why won't these companies learn? The fact of the matter is that you have like the physical media drive on your PlayStation 5, on your Xbox Series X, and on your Switch 2 is a joke. It's a lie. Your physical media isn't physical media. The game isn't, at least not the full game, is on 99% of those discs. We are already in a digital world. And so because it failed, like a lot of things failed decades ago, and then the environment changes and they succeed now. I don't think this Steam machine's going to fly off the shelves. There's a comment coming up asking about price, which we do not know, but it's going to be, I think, higher than most people expect. But I don't think people are looking for a CD drive, like especially if you're a PC gamer, you're not using discs anymore.
Well, yeah, and there's a catch to that too. Ironically, one day I was playing Gears of War 2 on my Xbox 360, and it's a physical media. You put the disc in, you play it. It started to lag a little bit. I think I had a disc read error, and the whole game, everybody was lagging. So, typically lag is, your internet connection or whatever. So the CD media drives, they're not fast enough to keep up with today's current technology. It has to be digital. So I believe the fastest, I can't remember what the fastest read or write speed is, but the drives themselves, you guys would have much more slowdown. You won't be able to load games as fast if you have physical media, because the drives are not as fast unless it was like a SD card reader or using like a T7 or something of that nature. But the actual CD-ROM drives or Blu-ray drives are not fast enough to keep up with today's demands.
I would say that, for me, I wouldn't mind having to download the game from the disc as long as the full game was on the disc.
Right.
I see what you're saying, right.
So then I would still own the game. I could play it on any system, but in order to play properly, it would have to download to the local hard drive, but I would still own the physical game. So there's that. But the fact of the matter is that's not what's happening. It's either a down, like I bought a game for, I think it was PS5 for my kids to play. And I put it in and it doesn't say, this is a download or whatever. It does say internet required. For a one-player game, but I put the disc in and it had a 60 gigabyte download, and I was like, "What is on the disc? A little text file that says, go here and download the game."
Well, and honestly, it kind of is because again, it's just using for efficiency, and again, efficiency doesn't necessarily mean a benefit to the consumer, but with most of the stuff now, they know there's this much time for production. Like we got to meet the deadline of this game, but we're not ready. But we can still send it to production, and then still keep working on it. I mean, that's why you have so many games that have a day one download. Especially like something like that is because they're meeting a deadline, and they know with modern technology, they don't have to have the game fully done like back with a regular Nintendo game or an Atari game or a Genesis game where you had to be 150% sure this game wasn't going to break because you had one shot to get it right.
When it went to
production. And I think that's a big reason why, they, in embracing the new technology, which they had to do with digital download and digital everything, they have dismissed what made consoles more desirable.
Yes.
Matt Cruz Flux here says, what do we think of price range? There are a lot of creators saying anywhere between 400 and 1,000. It's anything you hear right now is going to be speculation. Yeah. My guess would be $700 plus range.
I mean, 700 is where I'm leaning, and again, we have no inside information. It's just when you look at the specs and you kind of price out the specs, and obviously the fact they need to make a profit on it too, that, I mean, that seems to be a spot. But I would not be surprised though that there's going to probably be more than one model. Like I and maybe I'm wrong.
There's two. Yeah, there's two.
Oh, so there's So I mean, you're going to have, because again, they're going to want to hit 2 price points, right? I mean, because again, they want to try to have one, which is why you're only going to have like 512 gig storage and things like that. They want that smaller price point, like they did with the Steam Deck, to try to grab people.
For people, for people to think that that's going to satisfy them, and then later they upgrade it.
Correct. Or again, depending on. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Salvatore makes a really great point here that PS5 with a disk drive is really good for that PS4 library. Yeah. Same with the Xbox Series X. You play the old games. It's a great way to play them.
Well, too, also, I forgot, there's a caveat to some of those. Even if you have the full media disc, some of those games are not playable.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Andy Author makes a point that, and this hurt me because my PS4 is basically just a VR machine, and they will not play on the PS5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can't remember. It was back in probably 2012. I think, I'm trying to guess, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. There was something it was one of the expansion packs or something, but it was kind of around that time frame. Even if you had the physical media disc, certain aspects of it, or you still couldn't play the game because it needed an update. Mm-hmm. And some of the games may still fall into that. I don't think we'll see it too much, but if you kind of go back to some of the older PC games, maybe some of the original Xbox games, even if you have the physical media, sometimes some of them aren't playable. I think it was NBA Jam on Fire. I downloaded it for Xbox Live Arcade, or I had the disc, I don't remember. But you can't play online. I know EA is really bad at it. They disconnect their servers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I do remember that there was some physical media, and that's kind of why they went digital. You still can't play it, even if you have that physical media disc.
Yeah. So But for the stuff you can, the PS5 plays PS4 very well.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, again, because I know we got to kind of talk about the other things yet. But I mean, in closing, I think this is great. Like, am I going to get one? Probably not. But I definitely can see the audience for it. And again, the only reason why I'm most likely not going to get one is because I said I just bought myself a gaming PC last year. I already have it set up in my game room. And I already run Steam on it, and I'm happy. And then I also have, an Xbox Raw Gala X. So again, I got my handheld gaming one too to be able to take around. And again, I use all my Steam content on that. So, I mean, I'm set.
For a person like me, like the computer that I use is my work computer. I am not allowed to have Steam on my work computer, so I don't use Steam. Mm-hmm. And it's. I'm not upset about that. It's very proper. If I had employees, I wouldn't want them to have Steam gaming on their work computers. So, and as a person who prefers console gaming, but hates the updates, who hates all that stuff, and is starting to really realize, what's the difference? It's possible that I could be interested in this if I had an extra, let's guess $700 to throw at something like this. This might be a good Steam introduction for me, but that's still a hefty price. It's not like I can dip my toes into Steam, and if I don't like it, no big deal. That's an investment.
Yeah, the only Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, it kind of concerns me though that this is a brand new device. They've never released a piece of hardware like this, but it kind of concerns me. You know, we were talking earlier about longevity. They only have a 1 gigabit network adapter on here. So this tells me that this isn't like a 5-year to 10-year device, because my motherboard I bought back in 2019 has 2.5 gigabit net adapter on it. So here we have a brand new product coming out that's still behind the head of times on the download capacity.
Yeah. I mean, personally, the download times would, obviously suck if they're significantly longer. I don't game online much, if at all, so that part of it doesn't really bother me. But it's a good point. And Cruise Flux, we did kind of comment on the double tier of the Steam machine. The lower tier is to get people like me who maybe think they can get by with the lower, but really the top tier is what you'd want.
I mean, the thing with the lower tier is going to be is, again, I just want to dabble in this and see how it is, or do I just want to play more classic games or modern retro games? That's where that'll work. Because again, it's the same model like the Steam Deck. Because I mean, the Steam Deck had a 512 gig model, I believe, and then it had a higher one after. So, I mean, it's now if you plan on getting giant like 80 gig games, then yeah, I mean it's going to be very, very annoying, because you're going to get about 3 or 4 games and you're going to have to remove one and put another on. So,
well, what do you guys think is the main selling point? I mean, a lot of people already have PCs. Xbox is cornering the play anywhere, which is huge and beneficial to anybody. So who is the ideal customer for this if you already have a gaming PC? And
I think the ideal customer is the console gamers.
Yes.
They're trying to give it the form factor and the feel of a console.
Yes. And with the ease, because again, I mean, when you think about like the Xbox or the PlayStation, I mean, yeah, it's a little more than it used to be, but it's still a fairly easy experience to play a game where, you can put that same thing with Steam OS. I mean, I'm with Mike. I think it's going for a console gamer or someone who's been on the fence for a gaming PC, but just never wanted to pull the trigger because for one reason or another, it intimidated them, where this is a way now to maybe experience it better.
So we got just shy of 20 minutes left. Do we want to talk it off? Can we all kind of, maybe we don't. Let's briefly, I think that controller looks like ass. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, do I think it looks very weird? I absolutely do. But again, doing research kind of for tonight's episode, not everyone.
Trying to make it so you can play your mobile games on the
Jesus
thing.
Christ, this thing is ugly.
No, I mean,
here's the thing. It just, when you try to do everything in a mediocre way, you do nothing well.
But for folks who've had
Andy likes the controller.
But for folks who've had early access to the controller, they say it actually works really well and it feels good. Like, again, when I looked at it initially, I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. You know what I mean? But again, but I don't have one in my hands to be able to say,
that's
yeah,
fair.
this is garbage, or this is, where.
But I don't have to have everything in my hands to know that some things I don't want in my hands.
Yeah. No, I mean, visually, I think it doesn't look the best. But I mean, again, based off of videos I've seen of people actually using it, they've liked it. And it's not
a requirement. So if you like it, great. If you don't like it, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, because again, at the end of the day, it's an extra controller that you can either use for your Steam machine if you want, or your gaming PC if you want. And if you don't, you can still use your favorite Xbox controller or your favorite PlayStation controller with your gaming PC.
What's the price point supposed to be on the controller?
They've not,
Yeah.
unfortunately, they haven't done any.
They're not talking
yet.
about it. They want to get that hype out and then completely deflate it by announcing prices, probably.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though if it's within the range of a PS5 controller. I mean, that would be that's my guess. I mean,
right. Another setback with Valve and what they're trying to do is none of these things are store bought. You can't walk into a store, play with it, and make a decision there. The only time I've actually seen the Steam Deck and played with the Steam Deck is when I was at IGN Live Expo 2 years ago. That was it. That is the only time I saw it. Only time I held it. It's not like I could walk into a Target or a Best Buy, play around with it. I've had more experience. Heck, even the Xbox Rally X that came out, you could go to Best Buy, play with it. Even the Legion Lenovo Go S and the second model, you could walk into a Best Buy or a store and hold it. But their products, you can't just fiddle around with it to really make a decision whether or not you like it.
Yeah, in the same way that you'd have those line of tethered phones at like a Walmart or something. I go to Walmart, there's a line of tethered portable gaming PCs,
Right.
but none of them are the Steam Deck.
No. Not even at Micro Center. That's not even a place you could walk into and play with, something to really get a hands on.
That is, and honestly, that's something that they should really consider. Even just like, I know they want to sell through themselves. They don't want to necessarily have to sell through a third party, but that's how you get your stuff out there to a mass market. Is somebody plays it and they're like, hey, this is cool, I want it. So you're kind of limiting to your audience to, again, and other people in the chat have said it, you're limiting your audience to people who already know about this and probably already have gaming PCs.
Yeah.
And then to wrap up, in this one, we might be able to talk a little bit more about the VR. Now, Mr. Postal is a VR guy. He's got the Quest 3, and I think he does the PlayStation VR as well. But apparently, and I don't really know what this means, so maybe one of you guys can explain it. The VR coming from Valve is a black and white pass-through.
Yeah,
it's
so
a big step back if you're into mixed reality.
Yeah, so ultimately, to look outside, beyond like what's being shown on the screen, like if you're looking, just if you're wearing like quote unquote regular glasses, looking out to quote unquote reality, it's monocolored instead of being actual colored. So that's what that is. Because I think, and again, I don't quote me, because I think my son's Meta Quest 2 is that way. I think.
Okay.
I think it's mono. Now, again, I know Apple's VR, I think, is color, like you can see, but I'm not sure what else is. Because, again, full disclosure on my end, I'm not a big VR person. I've dabbled in it a little bit with my sons, and I'm just like, yeah, this isn't for me.
you're a little VR person. I love VR.
Beat Saber is fun, but
some games I really don't do well in VR. Games where I have to move with a controller as opposed to walk around the room, I will get motion sickness pretty damn quick. But Beat Saber, super hot. Anything where you kind of stay in position, and do your thing, I'm good with. I would love a like PS5 VR. First of all, it's not compatible with any of my PS4 VR games, and I've got a lot of those. And it's so damn expensive too. Like, so I've got no interest in upgrading that. I currently just use my PS4. But do you think that maybe this, like, if it is a step back, how do they expect to combat like the Quest 3 or like other more popular VR platforms?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the most with VR, but I will say, again, I think what it has going for it is if it's an ease of use experience. And again, I'm not saying like MetaQuest was a nightmare, but like just the overall, I guess, interface of it, and it also didn't help just trying to set up my son's account because he was under the age, at the time that I made it. that was a whole convoluted mess, with the parental access and everything else, where it was more frustrating dealing with it than it was other things. And then I know like you can sync to Steam with like the MetaQuest, and we didn't have the best success rates with that, like in the sense of like the wireless streaming with it. But again, I think it comes down to if you're staying in their ecosystem, it sounds like it's a very easy user interface experience.
Kind of like the Apple thing. It's like as soon as you introduce something else, everything blows up. So
Correct.
Just buy everything Apple and you'll be okay.
Yeah. So like I know my son has some games on Steam that you could play through VR, but like I said, the lag time, and again, it could just be because of the model MetaQuest he has. I don't know, but even hardwiring his gaming laptop and like just getting everything the best I could get it in my house. Like he still had lag playing Phasmophobia, I think was the game. So I'm thinking if
that's a game you wouldn't see me playing in VR.
But
I'm a big baby when it comes to jump scares.
So I mean, with that, if that's what you want to do, like if you want to play those VR games from Steam, I think it's going to be a good experience. But like if you already invested in MetaQuest, I don't know, or some other VR.
Saying that the Quest 3 is only $200 at Costco right now.
Yeah. Well, I do have a question because I don't play too much VR. I've dabbled with it. How many VR games are out there? How many VR games are going to be playable on this system? And if let's just say PlayStation put some of their VR games on there, what is the total VR library going to be that actually make use of their specific VR headset?
Mm-hmm. So my understanding, again, just from what I did from watching other videos that actually got to use it hands-on and things like that, is just obviously you got the Steam store. That's the core place to get it. But apparently you can sideload Android stuff to it. So then that way, like mobile games that are VR can actually work through that device as well. Now, again, is everyone going to want to do that? I don't know, but I mean, it is an option. But I think like with a lot of these things, you're kind of really tied to their store at the end of the day. Now, I know there's some like links, like I said, and it could just be the fact that it's a MetaQuest 2. I mean, he ended up getting it as a prize from school, and so there was like no investment on our end. So it's like, sweet, yeah, go ahead and get it and let's see how it all works out. But the one struggle he has had with it is doing that wireless syncing to actually play a Steam game on it. So from his computer.
For me, again, like the only VR I have is the PS4 VR, but we've got 40 or 50 games for it. Like I was actually shocked that it had as much support as it did. So and I know like the guys on their quests, there's a lot of games to play. It's not the biggest thing. It is. It's not as social gaming as other gaming can be, but it is definitely supported well.
Do you know if they're going to be at CES? Have you guys seen any reports?
I do not know.
Okay, I'll be at CES. If you guys want to, I can report back and let you guys know.
It'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Mean, yeah, I mean, I like I said, I do think, unlike the Steam machine, I think they're trying to make this a very cost attractive unit, just based off of, again, like the specs of it, the type of lenses they're using in it, aren't like the high. So it seems like they're not purposely going for the highest end stuff like you might see in like the Apple's VR unit or the latest, new Meta units and things like that. Like, so it tells me they're trying to keep it as a very attractive price point But I know you asked about like how many games. I just did a quick Google search because I was now curious that, how many VR games are on Steam. And according to Google, there's estimated to be over 5,900 VR games currently on Steam.
That's a lot of VR games.
So, I mean, there's definitely there's definitely a catalog there. But with that said, though, if you've already been in MetaQuest territory for how many years and your whole catalog of stuff is there, are you going to want to make the jump to a different product? And I don't know. That's
and then how many games are actually playable or worth playing?
Right. And it's just right.
Like I mean, that could be said for any library of games. It's like, I like shooters, and then so you like Trevor McFurd? No.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not my jam, but I know my son enjoys it. He plays online with some of his friends. I couldn't tell you some of the games right now, but there's a couple newer games they've been playing now, and I mean, again, it's not for me, but that doesn't mean it's not for others.
If it is now, granted, I don't think any of these announcements from Valve are going to be priced the way that I would want them to be priced. If they came out with their Valve VR, and even though it's black and white pass through, it plays all the Steam VR games, and it works well within their ecosystem, and it's not difficult to set up. I think there'd be appeal, again, like Keo said, like just to stay within the ecosystem. It may not be the best, but it's just easier, and especially and again, for a console gamer, the reason I stay within an ecosystem is because it's easier.
Exactly.
Right. The way I see this machine, I see it as a 7-Eleven Arco. It's there. It has a lot of choices for people, but it's not that dynamic system. When you think of PlayStation, you think of Tekken. Or certain games. I know Tekken's on Xbox now, but you have some iconic titles that were mentioned with particular systems. Xbox now is kind of the whole play anywhere. I don't see where Steam really falls into this, other than it's a box, it has computer hardware, and you can play it over here instead of your regular PC. I just don't see that as a choice when, yes, it's a console, but it's another $700 you got to focus on. Buy particular accessories for. It's another thing in an ecosystem of it's kind of like, I remember Arcade One Up and some of these other home arcade companies were coming about. People may not want the home arcade system, or maybe they're interested, but you're still competing with other items that cost $300 or $400.
Yeah,
you see what I'm
you
still you have that whole ecosystem of why am I going to pay $700 for something that, unless you had a iconic game or something you're releasing with it, I just really don't see it.
So here's where I see it again, and again, I think it's a very specific use case. Is that, like I said, if someone already owns a recent gaming PC, they likely don't have a reason to jump to the Steam machine day one. But where this is going to come down to is someone like Mike, for instance, where the reality is new next gen consoles are likely coming within the next 1 to 2 years. And do I really want to spend another $700 on a new system when I can spend $700? And again, we're all being hypothetical on these prices. Where I can spend $700 on the Steam machine, I can ultimately get access to every Microsoft game that's on Xbox because it's there in the Steam store if I really want. And again, it's likely going to be able to also load Xbox Game Pass or whatever to it too. I mean, again, I'm just being hypothetical there, but I believe you can put Xbox Game Pass on Steam OS, I think. Don't quote me on that. But either way though, all the Microsoft games are there in the Steam store. Even PlayStation games, they might not be there day one, but if they're not there day one, they eventually show up with a time delay, from the actual console. So you can still play all your PlayStation games on the Steam machine.
Are they getting the new Halo, like PlayStation? The new Halo remaster, are they getting it?
That I don't. I mean, I don't know that for sure. If PlayStation's getting it, no, I wouldn't be. Yeah. I mean,
they're getting it, but
yeah, but it's just at the end of the day, though. I mean, you got a machine that can ultimately grab your Xbox stuff / Microsoft. You got a machine that can also grab the PlayStation stuff without it having to be two separate machines. And like when it comes to accessories, I can still use my same accessories that I already had from my PS5 or my Xbox Series X. I mean,
Hugo says PS5 is getting hit.
Okay, well I mean, well, again, and I know Microsoft's taken that push now to be more like Netflix, to be agnostic more than their own stuff. So
right, but my question is, some of these titles that Xbox has released, like the remaster, like Halo that's coming on PS5, are they getting it? That would be a huge selling point or not to buy if they don't get some of these newer games. Like, let's say there's a Gears of War.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, Steam's going to get it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to get it. I mean, every other, again, none of all these are in for business. Like, if they're making money from it, they're going to put it there, and that's partly why Microsoft's even going the route they're going now, because they really weren't getting the money on their own platform. So now we need to go out to other platforms to get it. And I double checked too on the PlayStation one, because it was posted here a few days ago. So PlayStation apparently reported a profit of $1.2 billion after Steam platform fees on the games in their store. So I mean, I mean, they're not going to shy away from $1.2 billion of profit.
Well, I mean, I see that as a failure for Sony in some regards, because they have some good games, but when I do my reviews on the PlayStation 5 using some of my gaming adapters, I borrow my nephews. I'm not going to pay $600 or $700 specifically for a PlayStation 5, just to play Spider-Man 2 and God of War and call it a day. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm gonna get it on PC. So that's for me, that's a mishap on their part, because they've alienated certain customers that are interested in the specific titles on their system. But I'm not going to pay that kind of money for a single player based game that once I'm done with it, I'm done with it, and it's cool,
right?
But I want to have it in my library. I have it on Steam, so that's fine for me.
Yeah, and
that's the thing too. Like the days of the exclusive are dying.
Over. I mean,
and that in itself is going to kill, companies that operate on that model.
Yeah, like I said, the Nintendo's probably the only one who can still pull it off. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they've done it.
Nintendo,
forever.
I don't know how they stubmold into this genius, because they struggled and they fell upstairs on this. But every generation, they're always joked, "Oh, it's a kid's console. Oh, it's a kid's console." Well, what do those kids do? They grow up and they all buy Nintendo products.
Yeah.
That's what turned me off about Nintendo in the late 90s, when they wanted to kind of focus on the little kids and stuff. I was like, no, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, then that resulted 20 years later in selling like however many 100 million Switches.
Yeah.
But
anyhow, guys, this was sorry, go ahead if you got.
Oh no, I mean, like I said, I saw the one comment there about like I can give you a list of games that aren't on Steam. I mean, again, I'm sure there is. I mean, I'm not saying
it's a shorter list than the amount of games that aren't on PlayStation 5. Yeah. It is a shorter list than the amount of games that are not on Switch or on Xbox.
And again, the whole thing is
that's not to say that the Steam machine is going to be a massive success. That's not to say everybody should jump to Steam. I have never played a game on Steam. I am ashamed to say I have never played a game on Steam.
I do have another question.
That day is coming, though.
Right. I do have another question. Is Steam going to release a light gun? Because they have many light gun based games where you need another peripheral but they don't have anything specifically for it. And some of the games are not light gun based, but they're going in the direction of VR.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really a gaming platform if you don't have a light gun?
Yeah.
I mean, to answer that question, I mean, I don't know if Valve will make one specifically, but again, if there are ones that exist that work on a PC, again, you can't say it until you test it, but I know they're pretty big on multiple peripherals working with their platform. So, I mean, there's a chance that if there's a popular product out there that it could work. Now, I've never used a light gun on my gaming PC, so I couldn't tell you one. I mean, I know there's like what the Sindens, or I might have said that
there's
wrong,
a few different
but,
ones out there.
I mean, that's kind of one of the big ones. Could it work on a Steam OS? It might. I mean, I've never used them to say on modern stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think anything should be, be able to plug it. I was just wondering if they were coming out with their own dedicated stuff, because they do have games that are not traditionally light gun capable, if they were going to kind of speak to that market a little bit. So it would just make it more appealing.
Oh, no, I think it'd be sweet if they would do one. I mean, they've definitely not announced anything in that regard.
All right. So, guys, this was super informative for me. Thank you, Keo, so much for coming on. You're kind of our PC guy. And as Poe says, very insightful and informative, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I did have a poll. I kind of like to make these polls in our things now, and I just put, will the Steam machine be a console killer? I knew what the answer would be, but the yeses have 12% and the no's have 88%, and that's with 16 votes. I would agree. I don't think, at least as advertised right now, I don't think it's a console killer.
Yeah, I don't think anything.
I think the console industry itself is probably the console killer. I think we're probably at the weakest point we've been in a long, long time.
I mean, I think it's just going to be really debatable for next gen, because it's going to be so blurred. At least what the rumors are saying for these next gen consoles, that I think the line's going to be so blurred that people are going to, again, not saying everyone's going to do what I did, but again, I want to make sure I have my games for the longest period possible, and I'm just not convinced for any modern console moving forward that those stores are going to stay open indefinitely. So.
All right. So thank you, everyone. This was a real fun one. Thank you again to Keo. Thank you, Brian. We are going to see you next week. We're not sure what our topic is yet, but we will see you next week on Tuesday on the Retro Bliss Rewind. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.